Hello friends and welcome back to Down Memory Lane. Today we'll look at the start of another huge Nintendo franchise. It's the second game that Shigeru Miyamoto was making for the NES, The Legend of Zelda. There's no subtitle to it, it's just The Legend of Zelda. What few people know though is that it was made as a launch title for an add-on console that never left Japan, the Famicom Disk System. These discs had more memory, they were less expensive, and the data on it was rewritable. But as I said, as it never left Japan, a lot of its games came out a few months later in North America and Europe in a modified cartridge format with a battery added for saving your games. But enough about that. How did Mr. Miyamoto come up with The Legend of Zelda exactly? Well, as a kid he loved exploring the forest around his home in Kyoto. And one day when he was on such a stroll, he stumbled upon a lake he had never seen before. This feeling of awe is something that stayed with him ever since, and years later obviously, he wanted to put this feeling in a game in which you explore the world and find new stuff to further your quest. Now, The Legend of Zelda is not the first adventure game ever, far from it. Some examples of earlier games include Adventure from Warren Robinett, in which this is you and this is your sword. There is also Rogue, first game to feature randomly generated dungeons. So when The Legend of Zelda came out in Japan on February 21st of 1986, people saw that the game had graphics. So there was some appeal there, especially since a year and a half later it came out in North America in a golden shiny cartridge. What's interesting is that The Legend of Zelda, which was a game based on exploration and discovery, was designed as a complete opposite to Super Mario Bros., which was more of a fun action title. When they were searching for ideas for both games, they labeled them as Mario ideas and Zelda ideas. Another word that opposed the two games was in length. Someone who is good at games can finish Super Mario Bros. In under an hour without skipping anything. Zelda should at least take a few hours for the first time and you virtually can't skip anything. So you have to stop from time to time, right? If games back then usually used mile-long password to resume where you left off, Zelda, thanks to its Famicom Disk System roots, is the first console video game ever to make you save your progress. As opposed to Super Mario Bros., this game does give us a backstory at the top screen, so let's check it out. Many years ago, Prince Darkness Ganon stole one of the Triforce with power. Princess Zelda had one of the Triforce with wisdom. She divided it into 8 units to hide it from Ganon before she was captured. Go find the 8 units Link to save her. As you can see, good translations were not a priority back then. So basically Ganon, the Prince of Darkness, has a Triforce of power, a golden magic triangle, and kidnaps Princess Zelda to have her Triforce of Wisdom. She knew he was coming though and broke it into 8 pieces. You, as Link, need to find them and, save the princess while you're at it. The series' main character is Link, who was inspired by Disney's Peter Pan with his green tunic and blonde hair and... sorry, but this is our Link. Well, games were marketed for kids back then, especially in Japan, so yeah, I'm sure that explains it. Now, as you can see right up from the start, the first Zelda is an entirely different beast from the next titles in the franchise. It's a completely free-roaming experience. You can always go wherever you want, whenever you want. You have no guidance whatsoever except some badly translated hints that you need to find. You find the 8 dungeons by your own means by searching the good old way in any order you want, and the story is just an excuse to explore. It doesn't evolve at all before the ending. So you begin your quest with Koji Kondo's famous Zelda theme. You are on the overworld of the Kingdom of Hyrule, a kingdom entirely populated by monsters, old men and women, and merchants. This is a post-apocalyptic world, isn't it? It is here that you will do the most exploring. Start off by grabbing your first sword and then walk around to discover what's around you. Of course, when the game came out, it came with a complete map to help you not get lost, cause that is the map the game gives you. If you played other Zelda titles, you might think, hey, it's not so bad. Well, that's where we begin. You will most likely stumble across most dungeons on the way. Heck, you might even find dungeon 3 before you find the first one. And the second one is in a labyrinthine forest really far off. Your upgrades, like heart containers to upgrade your health, are either hidden in a random wall you need to blow up or a random bush you need to burn. But then again, you might get some idiot who charge you for door repair instead. All that is of course after you find a bomb and a candle. About half the screens on a map have a secret in it. Items can also be so expensive you need to kill an entire population of monsters to afford it, as they only give you a maximum of 5 rupees each. Now the dungeons. Oh, the dungeons. Such a love-hate relationship we have. That's where you will find a piece of the Triforce, protected by a guardian and an army of monsters. Well, they're pretty much what you'd expect. Slay monsters, find keys, or push blocks to open doors to make your way through the labyrinth. You can also find a map and a compass to point out where the Triforce piece is. Kinda like Super Mario Bros., they did a pretty good job making them varied with what they had. Some might have more snakes, dark nuts, or gorillas, others might have more puzzles to them, etc. If you have the manual, it also gives you a hint about the dungeon layout, like an eagle, the moon, a lion, or a manji, also known as svastika, a symbol used since ancient times in Ukraine, India, China, Japan, heck everywhere in the world, even by Native American tribes as a symbol of good fortune. See, Nintendo are not Nazis. Now again, you might think, hey, these dungeons aren't so bad. And actually, you might be right. That's where I've had the most fun with the game actually. Most of the time. See, if you try to complete the dungeons in numerical order, which you can see on the upper left corner, you will find that this game has one of the most unstable difficulty curves ever. The first 2 dungeons are fine, but things starts to pick up when you get to these dark nuts that you cannot hit from the front and move so randomly, and the blue variety is twice as hard. They often appear in later games as mini bosses that you fight one-on-one, which makes this Link pretty strong when you think about it. But they're nothing compared to the Wizrobes. These mages destroy you like nothing. Just look at that damage! And that is with a ring that cuts damage by half equipped. You can block these magic attacks with the second shield, but these likes eat them up, leaving you to defend yourself with this Bible. Dungeon 6 is full of these guys, and what's weird is that the 2 dungeons after that are a breeze, although there was one weird puzzle. The guardians are also a real joke sometimes. The final dungeon is simply enormous and it's really easy to get lost in it. Okay Ganon, I'm coming. Let's see where this is going. Okay, I have no keys, so let's go back. The door's blocked. I can't bump these walls either, so what do? I've just had the second ring that doubles my defense even more and I've been walking around for some time now. I don't want to reset. I'm literally stuck here. You stop looking at me. Wait, if I save my game, I'll be back at the entrance when I load my game, with all I've got. How do I save my game again? Oh. You know, I'm the type of person who truly believes that good always prevails, that no matter what, the best is always to come. I am an optimist. Well, The Legend of Zelda has finally taught me that sometimes the only way out of a given situation is a slow and painful death. Sorry to do this to you, Link. I'll treat you better next game. Ah, don't worry, he's used to it. You've killed him 30 times by now. The game also introduced some elements that will become traditions to the franchise, like the bow, the boomerang, the life potions, the sword you throw when your health is full. When they're defeated, monsters sometimes drop hearts that give you health, fairies that give even more, bombs, and rupees as mentioned earlier. Nope, this game doesn't have arrows. Instead, rupees are used when you use the bow. Weird. It is also among the first games to have a credits roll at the end with aliases. It includes Takashi Tezuka, Mr. Miyamoto's right-hand man who also worked on Super Mario Bros. I think this guy does not have enough credits. He's pretty much the reason as to why Mario games are still fun today, and he's still actively working on them. You can also start an even harder quest as you end the first one, but no thanks. Legend of Zelda is not only the first in a long line of Zelda titles, but with its go wherever you want, whenever you want model, it's also a faraway ancestors to series such as The Elder Scrolls, Assassin's Creed, Grand Theft Auto, well, you get the idea. Even if I do recommend more serious gamers to try this game out, If you're a series fan, just know what you get yourself into, as it's very different from the rest of the series. It's pure exploration in a simple environment with a punishing difficulty. Let's just say if you hate all the hand-holding in video games nowadays, this game is for you, as you will see the game over screen pretty often. Well, when it was released, beating a game was a badge of honor, you know. Also, try to avoid looking at maps on the internet. Well, for as long as you can anyway, as they can get a lot out of the enjoyment of finding the stuff you will need. And I do mean for as long as you can. I admit I had to use them for a few hard containers. It's unavoidable, you can't escape it. Here are 2 little tips to help you out though. I noticed that these blobs in dungeons can be quite generous with rupees, more than average monsters anyway, and getting rich is still quite long. Also in dungeons, when you need to bomb a wall, it's always in the middle, so don't drop your bombs all around. When Zelda came out in North America, kids could subscribe for free to the Nintendo Fan Club, which was basically a newsletter containing tips for some games. The number of subscriptions was so high thanks to Zelda that in mid-1988, it led Nintendo to stop publishing one of the longest running gaming magazines of all time, Nintendo Power. You can find The Legend of Zelda on NES, on Game Boy Advance, on the Virtual Console, and on this rare GameCube collection. The version after NES were retranslated compared to what you've seen on this video. I just played the original for this video so that you could see that translation. So I thank you all for watching. I'd like to ask you guys, what was your favorite world to explore? If you enjoyed this video, you can click on that like or that share button, they won't bite. You can also subscribe or follow me on Facebook or Twitter if you don't want to miss any of the following episodes. Next time we'll witness the birth of a brand new genre of games, the Japanese role-playing game.